are getting closer to the end. Getting closer to the end. Just 2 more days. Though on this final day, I'm gonna have to reload the game twice for both endings. Oh, I just remembered next. Oh, this is gonna have something that I can relate to. I forgot about that. It has the thing I can relate to with this lady. It was morning. I didn't sleep well. The continuous series of incidents and the pain in my body made it difficult to fall asleep. I heard arguments and the sound of things getting smashed in my half-asleep state, but I didn't notice anything off in the room. The taste of blood in my mouth was nauseating, and all my muscles seemed to be twitching in pain. I staggered to my feet and tried to rinse my mouth in the bathroom, but instead I lost my balance and fell to the floor. I gave up and just left myself lying on the floor, feeling my chest upheaving through deep breathing. Every heartbeat reminded me of the fact I was still alive. I wasn't sure she just woke up earlier or didn't sleep at all, but the girl was leaning against the window with half a burning cigarette in her hand. She just gave me a look when I fell down. The air was so heavy that no one bothered to say anything. Time flew. Even the cigarette spark started to fade. Another cigarette was lit, and then it was out. The repetition continued until the whole pack was gone. There it is. Anything to eat? My voice apparently shocked the girl, who immediately tensed her body up like an alarmed cat and jumped out of her chair. I was too scared to make any sounds. She stared at me briefly before giving a long sigh while supporting her head. With bangs under her eyes, she didn't even bother to complain. Still thinking about food? Are you nuts? Nothing is more important than food. No one knew what would happen next. I didn't have the spare energy to think about anything else but the present. Really? Would getting fed solve the problem? She threw the bread at me with self-deprecating smile on her face. Oh, no. Yes. And now it's the part I'm going to relate to wholeheartedly. So you're sick, yet you're drinking cola. Huh? What do you drink then? Don't you usually have a sports drink? Maybe a hot ginger tea? Nanny would usually make a huge bowl of that for me to drink when I was sick. Just the smell made my tingle, but now even that had become a special memory. That's what we drink in our family. Every time someone got sick, my dad would buy a whole box of it so he could fight the fever. The topic brought forth some memories for her. There was some inexpressible emotion as she gazed toward the window. Did it work? I did hear about drinking cola when you have heat stroke, so in that regard, it did make sense, I guess.
知らないわよ。どうせ飲んでも死なないし、甘くて美味しいし。
Who knows? It's not poison anyway. It's not as bad as some other sweet drinks. It doesn't matter if it works, it's just a habit. Just like some need to pray before a meal, or some only smoke at a certain brand of cigarette. When a behavior becomes a habit, it starts to take on another meaning and leads to many memories. Looking at the side of her face, deep in thought, I realized even she had a sentimental side. So, in the end, no money?
何が言いたいんだ?
What are you trying to say? I want to say he doesn't give a crap about me. Better do your research next time you try kidnapping. The long waited led to this result. I can only laugh bitterly.
全然笑えない。彼のため、これほどの人間になれるとは、気持ちが悪い。
That's not even funny. It's disgusting to become someone this heartless due to money. Well, he's a famous CEO featured in magazines and admired by many, though.
だから、そいつらの頭もおかしいって。
And that's why I say they're fucked up. She grunted next to the wall, looking at me with an expression of sympathy.
あんたはそんな奴らと距離を取った方がいい。そうしないと、遅かれ早かれ、奴らのようになってしまう。
I say stay away from folks like that, or you might end up like them. Like them, huh? Without noticing herself, she spoke of me as one of us instead of one of them. Who knows? Maybe getting kidnapped was not such a bad thing. So, what do you plan to do next?
知らん。
Shit. Don't know. She replied without a second thought. Her expression was so deadpan, I couldn't even tell if she was joking. Maybe the money will come in soon. She stole a glance at me and snorted in displeasure.
自分も信じていないことを口にするな。私は子供じゃない。
Stop saying things that even you don't believe. I'm not some 3-year-old. I do hope he sends the money over soon, though. Noticing the helplessness and seriousness in my voice, she didn't retort, as usual, and only quietly turned her head.
祈れよ。
Then pray harder. After a while, the little girl woke up as well. She sat up slowly on the bed. She looked at her sister first, then to me, then lowered her head helplessly. Whether it was her sister yelling at her or shaking her fist with an insane, nasty face, these all must be unfamiliar to her. She thought everything was under control. She thought if she listened to Big Sis, there would be money. Now she realized things were out of control. Not only would there be no money coming, they may have to face the penalty. The bubble of fantasy popped, leaving only the terrifying reality that made people uncomfortable.
何か食べなさい。
Have some food. The girl passed the breakfast to her sister. The little girl raised her head and looked at her big sis, hoping to hear some words of encouragement or explanation. But there was nothing. The girl just leaned against the wall without a word. There were too many things to think about, and her sister's feelings were the least of her concerns. The little girl didn't ask anything. She knew no one could answer her question, or perhaps she already knew the answer. She started to make paper cranes after finishing the sandwiches. Her mechanical movements held no meaning. There would never be enough cranes to pay off the debt without the ransom. She knew that, but that was all she could do to support her sister, nothing more. It was said that making 1,000 paper cranes would pass your wish to the divine. Looking at all the cranes on the floor, I wonder if her wish had been heard. Colored paper and origami cranes are scattered on the floor. All these clean folding lines are from the same hands of the young girl. So what now? Is that a mirror? No, that's a window. That's the lamp. That's a lamp, right? Yeah, a strange-looking lamp that doesn't even have a lampshade. I don't know what era it might have been made during. Can I toss it like a weapon? I have to untie myself first, though. So what now? Oh, it's broken. Shattered by violence, the mirror would no longer reflect anyone's face. Oh, and that's the end. Here comes the ending of the day.
Oi.
Hey. I was dozing off against the wall. She was next to me when I raised my head to her
あん
voice.
たの親父に電話するから痛い目に遭いたくないなら言うことを聞けよ
I'm gonna call your dad. Cooperate if you don't want another beating. This was the first time she had struck up a conversation with me since yesterday. She seemed to have made up her mind, judging by her determined tone. Fine. She probably didn't expect me to play nice like this, and started to examine me top to bottom with a surprised expression. I can go home as soon as he pays, right? I want to get this over with as soon as possible. We share the same goal
あ
here.
んた意外と頭がよく回るね
You seem to get it. I don't care how much he has to pay. I'll just see it as compensation for him ignoring me.
それにどれくらいの価値があると思ってる
How much is that worth? Her lips formed into a rare smile. She started to press the buttons on the phone. It was so fast as though not giving herself time to regret. The little girl stopped her movements and held her breath for the upcoming developments. It was connected.
なぜ金がまだ入ってこないんだ
Where's the money? The girl talked into the phone coldly. Anyone could sense the suppressed anger in her
小
voice.
細工をするな息子はまだこっちの手の中だぞ人は殺せないとでも思ってるのか
Stop playing tricks with me. I still have your son. Do you really think I won't kill him? She was pulling her messy hair and biting her lips so hard that blood was close to oozing out. There was also a sense of panic in her tone. Unlike the careful negotiation process in movies, this was more like an emotional venting
つべ
session.
こべ言うな
Don't give me that crap. She got more and more agitated, and eventually an angry fist landed on the desk, almost bumping everything to the floor. The little girl looked at her big sis. I could see the fear in her black eyes. Her two hands were stiff, blocking her chest as though to protect herself. As an accomplice, she didn't have the courage to ask. She could only wait for her next instructions from her sister. Cowardice, weakness, one could probably accuse the little girl of these things. However, relying on her sister was her only way of living. The girl walked towards me suddenly and pressed the phone against my ear after turning on the
親
speaker.
父に早く金を払うよう言え。変な真似をするなよ。でないと痛い目に遭うのはあんた自身だからな。
Tell your dad to pay up now. No funny business, or you'll be in trouble. Are you alright, Hao Chen? There was a deep voice from the other side of the phone. I responded absent-mindedly, not sure what to say at that instant. Not due to familiarity or sentimental feeling, but more of a sense of distance between the two of us. Compared to father, even the kidnappers felt a little closer to me. Don't worry, we are taking care of this. Things will be fine. If you really cared about me, why haven't you paid? The words got stuck in my throat, and I could feel my reluctance to speak up, slowly fading. Whether it was the fear of being kidnapped, the pain in my body, or the illness that weakened me, I survived all of it. Yet his voice alone made me want to scream. We're gathering the money, but the amount is too high, and we need more time. Stop lying. Why'd you say that, Hao Chen? Are you okay?
うるさい。また息子に会いたいならさっさと金を振り込め。
Stop this crap. Just transfer the money if you want to see your son alive. Noticing my abnormal actions, she grabbed the phone and spoke
堂
mockingly.
々たる社長様がうん千万くらい簡単なものだろ。何かを企んでいるのはお見通しだよ。
Don't tell me a CEO can't get his hands on a few million Taiwan dollars. I know what you're playing at
これ
here.
は警告だ。今日の夜0時まで金が入ってこなかったら、息子の声を聞くのは今のが最後になるからな。
I'm warning you, if you don't transfer the money by midnight tonight, this will be the last time you ever hear your son's voice. Not giving him a chance to respond, she hung up the phone without hesitation.
やろう。
Bastard. After throwing the phone onto the desk, she saw this scared look on the little girl's face, as though asking what to do. She took a deep breath and managed to form a smile.
大丈夫。すぐ終わる。
It's okay. It'll all be over soon. Okay. She tried to confront her sister, but didn't seem to have that much confidence herself either. She pulled out the chair and took out a cigarette with a trembling hand. Noticing my stare, she hid her trembling left
何
hand.
見てるんだ。怖いなら親父が早く金を払うようお祈りでもしてろ。
What are you looking at? Better pray for your dad to pay soon if you're scared. I want that too. I probably never thought of this turn of events. She couldn't do anything but threaten me. She wanted this to be over as much as I did. All these risks were for the money. Without the ransom, the hostage was just a burden. She really couldn't get the ransom. Her best opinion was to escape, rather than waiting for the police to come. So how could I convince her to give up?
あんた、今の反応はちょっとやりすぎじゃないか。親父と喧嘩するつもり？
Was you overreacting back there? Trying to start a fight with your father? Or something? His voice pissed me off. He didn't care about me and only acted like a good dad now. And in the end, he still refused to pay. He could at least have done a better job faking that.
金のためなら息子の安否も顧みないってこと。あんたら ちでどうかしてるよ。
Prioritizing money over your own son. You guys are fucked up. Unable to hide her exhaustion, she supported her head while mumbling. I didn't get it either. I thought the world was a delicate machine. It moved as if it was designed, and we all took great pride in it. Yet, ever since my mother's affair, I learned the machine was not as perfect as I imagined it. I only discovered more problems the older I got. The rusty pieces were hard to use, and the worn-out cogs were making strange sounds. The once great machine looked like a stupid pile of scrap. That's right, the world is far from perfect, and we all live in this imperfect world, struggling for survival. The next important scene, here it comes. I could hear drops of rain outside the window, which then turned into a shower, turning the windows into a water curtain. The temperature was lower now. Even with the coat, I could feel the cold sneaking in through the neckline. The window was covered in moist. The girl paced back and forth before the window. It was long past the transfer time. Any money transferred wouldn't be visible until tomorrow. We could only wait, something we'd done a lot the past few days. No matter how long it was, this wait was still hard to deal with. So be it. I heard her mumbling when she stopped pacing. Keep an eye on him. I'll be right back. The girl left this instruction before heading out with her phone. I had no idea who she was going to call. There was no other option but to surrender or escape. How many have you made? I got a chance to talk to the little girl. I saw her nimbly fold and twist the paper. The finished cranes had piled up into a small mountain next to her feet. I don't know. Her movements didn't slow down while talking. She pointed to the colored paper next to her. There will be 1,000 once these are all finished. Let me help. I was bored anyway, so I took out a colored paper to help. I know what this is. It was difficult. I had forgotten how to make a paper crane, so I could only try to copy her steps. My hands weren't really nimble. She had already made a ton of them by the time I finished one. Even though we followed the same steps, my crane looked super lousy. Even the head was all wrinkled together. Your crane is ugly. I didn't know when she stopped her movements looking at my crane in its sorry shape. She gave an honest comment. There's no way I would make one as good as yours in my first attempt. Also, my hands are tired. My first was still better than yours. Big deal. Just treat this one as crippled or something, and the next one, huh? I tried to grab another paper and saw her take my completed work and unfold it. This wouldn't work. Really? It's still a paper crane. A blit an ugly one. You can't make a wish out of this. Never. She responded plainly. Her determined look left no space for negotiation. It's pointless if not done correctly. It's pointless if not done correctly. The broken paper crane could be fixed. What about broken people? Why does God make everyone different? Wouldn't there be far less arguments if there was only one kind of person? This thought came to my mind before I remembered a more important matter. Getting out of this conundrum. Hey, do you think you can still convince your sister? I didn't have much time, so I cut right to the chase. Convince Big Sis? You know how messy this has become, right? You might get arrested if things keep going. You wouldn't be able to escape by then. I talked to her with all the sincerity I could muster. I hoped all the accumulated trust was enough to make her believe in me. Just let me go and I will hand you all my money. I can also mislead the search. You just need to convince her.
私に何を?
Convince me of what? The girl interrupted my sentence and stepped into the room. You heard that too, right? If you let me go. I tried to make my point with her directly, but she just pushed me aside and walked to her sister.
うるさい。妹に話があるんだ。
Save it. I have something to tell her. There was no hesitation in her look. She seemed to make some important decision. Giving up? No, there was no chance to get the ransom. She decided to escape with her sister? The little girl obediently walked towards her sister with unease on her raised face.
帰りなさい。
Go home. Simple words, but with a major implication. The little girl didn't move and couldn't make any sound despite having her mouth
先に
open.
王さんのところに帰りなさい。もう話がついたから。
Go to Miss Wang's place. I told her about it.
でも。
But she tried to plead for an explanation, but all she got was an impatient
そっちに
response.
着いたら、もう二度とこっちに来ないように。
And never come back here. You got it?
じゃあ、姉ちゃんは。
What about Big Sis? The little girl helplessly squeezed out these words. She couldn't even ask why. It could only wait like a convict before the judgment was passed.
これからは一人で何とかする。あんたまでここに残る必要はない。
I'll figure something out. There's no need of you here. She said the words coldly and tried to avoid the girl's gaze.
ここにいさせてもらっても。
Can I stay here? Not able to get her desired answer, she sadly lowered her head and pleaded with a tiny voice.
もう時間がない。
There's no time. She shook her head and sighed. Ignoring her sister, she started to pick up the paper cranes and pack them up. 1, 2, 3. She held up the paper cranes and with a simple movement, they all fell into the plastic bag.
決してここに戻るな。何かあったら王さんを頼りなさい。
Never come back here. Just ask Miss Wang for
店
anything.
のことはできる限り手伝いなさい。王さんに迷惑をかけないように。
Help out as much as you can. Don't cause her trouble. There was no energy behind those words. The two fell silent. I could only hear raindrops echoing in the empty room. The slender hands, colorful paper cranes, and the echo of the rain. She picked up the last one and threw it easily into the bag. When the moment came, there was no more cranes to pick up. So, with the moment of separation, time stopped. Thousands of words seemed to be exchanged within this silence. When you spend enough time with someone, many things could be communicated without being said. Whether they were good things or things you wanted to hide away.
姉ちゃん。
The little girl's voice was trembling. The girl's voice was light and soft.
もう帰ってこないの。
Will you come back? The girl paused and didn't answer. Whether she couldn't or didn't want to, it had the same meaning. Her long hair covered her face, and I couldn't see her expression yet. Her upheaving chest revealed their struggle.
私、どうなってもいい。姉ちゃんと一緒なら、それだけで。
I don't care what happens, as long as I'm with Big Sis, as long as I'm with Big Sis. Can't I? Facing her sister's pleading, the girl didn't say a word. The two looked at each other. A tear slid down the little girl's face and left a mark on the floor.
何泣いてるんだ。死ぬわけじゃないし。
What are you crying for? I'm not dead or anything. The girl lightly patted her head with a soft smile on her
大事に
face.
しな。一区切りがついたら帰るから。
Take care of yourself. I'll be back when this is over. Seemingly losing the power of speech, the girl just nodded, yet the tears didn't stop
早く
falling.
行きな。
Off you go.
夜遅いし、雨が降ってるから気をつけて帰りな。
It's late and it's raining. Watch that you don't slip when you're walking, okay? The little girl didn't move until her sister gave her a push, gesturing for her to leave quickly. Before leaving, the little girl gave me a look. I could sense the despair and pleading in her eyes. What did she want me to do? Ask her to give up or convince my father to pay? I could do neither. All I could do was wait. I was left alone in the room, accompanied only by the rain as I listened to the sounds of them walking down the stairs, awaited the end. After sending her sister off, the girl returned to the room, shook off the raindrops off her coat, and sat back in the wooden chair and thought. She appeared to be much calmer after making up her mind. She tilted her head and looked at the rainy night outside the window. Her lowered eyelids gave out a sense of sincerity. No smoking?
なんだ、あんたも吸いたいのか。
What? You want one too? Nope. I thought there would be scolding or teasing, so her plain reaction was
なんだ
unsettling.
その顔は。
Why are you making that face? I thought you would be mad.
怒ってどうする。
What's the point of getting mad? Waving her knife, she seemed to be more direct without her sister's
あん
presence.
たを殴った親父が金を出してくれれば、とっくに殴り殺してるよ。
Beating you would make your dad pay. You would have been beaten to death by now. Not really convincing for someone who beat the crap out of me yesterday.
うっさい。
Shut up. After contemplating, I figured now would be the best time talking to her one-on-one without concern. Hey,
静かにしてくれないか。
just be quiet. I have a proposal.
聞きたくない。
Not interested. Just let me finish. Hearing her unhesitating rejection, I sighed awkwardly. It was as though seeing her smirk somehow made me feel a little more relaxed. 303753162.
はい。
My debit card password, the one in my bag.
それがどうした。
What's that for? Her dark eyes stared at me in confusion. She tried to figure out my intention. There's about 700 to 800k in the account. Take all the money in it. You can drag me there if you think it's a trick. The situation had changed since the first time I brought up the proposal. She didn't have a better option. She knew the chance of getting the ransom was low. That was why she had let her sister leave. First, to keep her out of trouble. Go wherever you want once you get the money. You can just untie me and leave me here too. You want the money, right? If it isn't much, but that's still more than the millions of Taiwan dollars she would never get. Fearing that I might trigger her pride, I hesitated on what to say.
何も手に入れないまま豚箱行きよりはマシってか。
Still better than going to jail. She had guessed my thought from my hesitation. Finishing my sentence for me, she burst into laughter. I could see a strange light in her
何
eyes.
それ。同情しているのか。ん？
What's that? Are you pitying me now? No, it's not that. Since it had come to this, I didn't even bother to sugarcoat my words. I decided to tell her my true thoughts. All my understandings from the days of interactions and questions that troubled my mind. Why can some people hire a private tutor while they didn't even have a chance to take classes? Why can some people talk about delicacies when they don't even have the money to have a proper meal? You're right. Society isn't unfair. I repeated her favorite line. There was no emotion, just a factual statement. Rich people can hire tutors when the countryside doesn't even have enough schooling. Some people have parents who figure out their career path. They can become managers regardless of their capabilities or personalities, while others will never climb up that ladder. They keep saying there is no discrimination based on upbringings. Everyone has a chance, and through enough effort, so-and-so started a whole business on their own. But it has nothing to do with effort. Why would some people have to put in more effort to succeed? Where's the fairness in that? If I didn't have enough food and had to deal with debt, I might have done the same thing as you. I wasn't trying to justify the crime, but perhaps people didn't have the right to condemn them from higher ground. They kept saying things like, why is society so messed up? Or, you shouldn't commit crimes no matter what, but refused to help them. They attributed all their successes to effort, while all their failures came from their environment or luck. It was nothing but arrogance. When those people who lived a carefree life condemned others for committing crimes for the sake of survival, I am just lucky. I shrugged and concluded, I didn't kill or rob someone. Not because I have a better sense of justice or integrity, but because I am lucky enough not to have to make that choice. Probably never expected me to say all these things. She looked at me speechless. The lamp cast a light on her face. She wanted to say something, but wow, she just sighed. What's the point of saying all this? So even if you realized it, what would that change? Do you think saying that would make me feel better? I'm just telling you my perspective. You don't want this life, right? You want to live with your sister, right? Her body shook at the mention of her sister. In the end, family was the one thing she couldn't let go of. I don't know your past. No one would end up becoming a kidnapper if they had the choice. You should hide once you get the money. I won't tell anyone about this. They wouldn't know, even if I just bullshit everything. There's no way it would go that smoothly. Still, better than waiting to be arrested here. I directly interrupted her. She didn't retort. I think the cops will keep looking for you, so you have to figure something out. I struggled and told her the truth. Kidnapping was a public persecution crime. There would be trouble no matter what I said. Do you trust me? The sound of the rain started to die down. There was only silence in the room. I could tell the girl was struggling next to the window. When I proposed this to her, she said she couldn't trust me. She had no insurance in letting me go. She couldn't do anything if I broke the promise. The only condition for this deal to work was that she could trust me. I initially didn't feel there was much to tell these people who were nothing but rich hater or whiners. However, I realized we weren't that different. Except in our upbringings and education, we could still understand each other through the communication. I believe in you. I finally heard her response amidst the rain. But it's too late for that. There was determination in her cold voice, different from her initial look of panic. She now seemed to be as calm as a lake surface. Too late. Noticing my expression of disappointment, she smiled and turned her face back to the window. I said it before, didn't I? It was too late since a long, long time ago. My tensed up body fell backwards like a broken spring. All the hype up emotion cooled down instantly, as if I'd been drenched in cold water. It is far from frustrating to successfully convince someone, but not to be able to change anything, then not convincing someone at all? I didn't know what her goal was. Why wasn't someone willing to concede, knowing there was no chance to get the money? She couldn't wait any longer before the police came. She just trusted me and wait till everything has blown over. I yawned tiredly. I hadn't been doing much, but the emotional roller coaster and illness had made me exhausted. Just sleep. Noticing my tired expression, she covered herself in a blanket, turned off the light, and sat next to the door. It became pitch black in the room. There was no starlight or street lights outside. I couldn't even see the room clearly. I decided to break the silence. Please don't just pack up and dump me on top of a mountain. What a great idea. I'll keep that in mind. If you're gonna do it quick. I'd rather die instantly than suffer through it. You're such a weirdo. That's not a compliment. It isn't. Both of us fell silent. The rain started to get heavy again, as though it was never going to end. Still awake? I didn't hear a response, but I could feel her gaze somehow. Let me know if you change your mind. Right. I heard the nonchalant response after a moment of silence. I could vaguely see her through the darkness, sitting against the wall and facing me. I could see that her eyes were looking somewhere past me, far, far away. In that instant, I wanted to know, what kind of future did those pupils reflect? And now the best part of this entire story is here. How long has it been? 40 minutes? Fuck it, I'll continue. You know what, I'm going to continue until we have the choices, then I'm saving that for the endings. The endings will be a separate entirely video. It was the same dream. There was no sky nor ground, only endless darkness. I couldn't control my thoughts despite being fully conscious. It felt like watching the same old documentary. I heard imminent sounds that seemed to be made by cats or sobbing children. I tried to find the source of the sound, but there was only darkness around me. I couldn't take a hold of anything while listening to it. I had no choice but to search blindly, oblivious to the passage of time. Eventually I saw something. It was an empty living room. The desk was scattered with all kinds of things, wine glasses, a medication bag, books, and papers. Mother was lying on the sofa in her pajamas and with messy hair. She was crying with her face covered. Did this really happen, or was it all a fabrication? The living room was always spotless and clean in my memory, and my mother was always radiant with makeup on. So, why? Why couldn't I remember all of this? Confusion and fear turned into waves that engulfed me back to the darkness. I could vaguely smell the familiar cigarette scent and opened my eyes amidst the seemingly never-ending rain. What came to my vision was the girl right before my face. She squatted before me and just kept staring at my face, blinking. Do you two just enjoy scaring people like this? I helplessly protested, even without malice. It's still not pleasant to have someone staring at you when you woke
な
up.
んだ寝ている時に何かされるとでも思ったか
What? Did you think I would do something to you while you were asleep? Seeing my panicking expression, she smirked. What do you want?
動くなよ
Don't move. She grabbed my hands without permission. The pain was when she touched my wounds made me try to shake her grip, but that didn't faze her. She rolled up my sleeve, revealing the nasty purple-black color across my arm. I saw the swollen wounds marked with blood like some scary totem. She just grabbed my hand without saying anything. I didn't know what she wanted, but didn't resist either. So I didn't sense any ill intent. Yet she didn't do anything. She just looked at me quietly. What, finding me too attractive? I couldn't bear the unease and I spoke.
アホあんたみたいなチェリーボーイに興味はない
Idiot. I'm not interested in a pussy like you. Tried to joke around, but only got the look from her.
まだ痛む
Does it still hurt? She lowered her glance and touched my wound lightly. Her trembling eyelashes seemed to hide some unspeakable emotion. It's alright. It wasn't treated when I got hurt, and probably would take quite some time to recover. I was lucky it didn't damage the bone. She grunted and let go of my hand. It was unbelievable, but she seemed to regret the fact of hurting me the day before. She kidnapped me, yet she didn't really want to hurt me. She hated to be discriminated against, yet was full of bias against the rich. Perhaps even she was aware of these contradictions. So what now?
どうしようもないだろ
What do you think? She returned the question with a self-deprecating expression that was hard to look at. She sat back by the window and took out the phone. Then I heard the sound of text messaging. The sound of the rain typing intertwined, becoming a peaceful melody that echoed within the room. So I heard you were a straight-A student. The girl paused upon hearing me, then awkwardly turned to look at me.
あの子何を言ってたの
What the hell? Did she tell you? Realizing who could have leaked that secret, she sighed with resignation.
何文句あんの
So what? You have a problem with that? No, just found it interesting. Maybe things would have been different if she had stayed in school. Have you sought out government aid, like from the Department of Social Welfare or Detection Office? With her father missing and her mother having passed away, they could have applied for low-income relief, and maybe the government could have made some arrangement to help them settle down somewhere. It would be quite inconceivable if they couldn't even take care of such a case.
私たちは条件に合わなかったのよ
Not qualified. Not qualified? Do only those where everyone else in their family is dead count or something? She patiently sighed.
頭でちゃんと考えろまだわからないの
Haven't you woken up? Don't you get it?
役所にいる奴らも法律を決める奴らもいつも人や秩序を守り予定通りに動くと思い込んでる
Those sitting in those office chairs, those that make the laws think everything's in order and
お
organized.
金がないなら低所得の申請を出す。借金が返せない人は倒産を申し込む。まるでどんな人間でも彼らが作った法律によって守られているような口ぶりをして。
Poor people can only apply for low income. People in debt should file for bankruptcy. The law only seems to protect everyone.
いつもなんでそうしないんだ、こうしないんだとか。そういう解決方法がある、こういう方法もあるとか。
You keep saying, why don't you do this and that? There must be another way.
もしそんなのがあったら、あんたを拉致したりしないだろ。
Well, if the world is really that nice and dandy, why did I need to kidnap you? Maybe.
もういい。
Save your breath.
私たちは生活というものをよく理解しているつもりよ。それに対してあんたたちは楽しい夢の中に生きている。
We know what reality is
犯罪
like.
とかそれはただ数少ないケースだって。
Unlike you who live in a dream, thinking all those crimes are special
じ
cases.
ゃあまあ見ろ。
Just wait.
あんたたちがそういう考え方を捨てない限り、そういうケースはなくなることがないんだ。
As long as you keep thinking like that, those cases will never disappear. Finishing her decoration, she shrugged and started laughing.
私には関係のないことだけどね。
But that's not my business now. Do you still keep in touch with your father?
まさか今どこにいるかもわからない。
Hell no. I don't even know where he is. Right, I guess he's probably hiding somewhere abroad.
それはない。そんなにお金がないし、友達にもろくなもんがいない。
Nah, he's not that rich. None of his buddies are that
多分
nice.
どっかで隠れていて、アルバイトでもして日々を送っているでしょうよ。とっくに死んでいるかもしれない。
He's probably just hiding somewhere. Picking up some part-time jobs here and there. Or just meddling along with no thought of tomorrow. Or maybe he already kicked the bucket. Oh? I didn't expect her to describe it so vividly, as though she saw it herself.
あいつが家を出た時は、私はもう7歳で、ちょっと印象が残ってる。
I was already 7 by the time he left, so I have some memories of
あ
him.
いつは金を儲けることができるような玉じゃないが、自分もお金持ちになれると夢を見ていたんだ。私たちにもいつもお金持ちになったら何がしたいとか、そういう話ばかり。
He wasn't one of those rich people, but somehow thought he could make as much money as them anyway. He always boasted about what our lives would be like once we get rich.
最後は自分の家にさえ帰れなくなるなんて笑わせるな。
And now he doesn't even have the balls to come home. Hilarious. Perhaps it was the recollection that led to dissatisfaction. In contrast, the little girl didn't seem to care as much. Perhaps even she didn't notice herself. The sympathy and pity hidden deep under her complaints. Hey. Shocked by the rare occurrence of her talking to me, I raised my
昨
head.
日言ってたこと。
About what you said yesterday. She pondered a little bit and breathed out white smoke. There was some warmth in her eyes.
もしあんたのような考えを持つ人がもっと大勢いたらこんなことにならずに済んだかも。
If there were more people like you, perhaps it would have ended up like this. Branded with the word poverty, they never got recognition from society. If people didn't criticize others based on the just financial status, perhaps they wouldn't have come to this. Is that some sort of compliment?
そう思って構わない。
Up to you. She didn't answer my question directly as she nonchalantly turned her head towards the window. Is this the part, or is the emotional part coming after where I view the objects? I got a feeling it's coming right here. Got the money?
ない。
Oh. She gave a straight answer without a change in her cold expression. She put the phone back in her pocket and looked at the scenery outside of the window. Then she spoke calmly.
どうでもいいさ。もう決めたから。
Doesn't matter. I made up my mind. Made up your mind? Hearing the implication within those words, I tried to confirm with her. She grunted in response, keeping her gaze focused somewhere far away. On what? Stab me and call it a day?
わかるんだ。
How perceptive of you. She flashed a naughty grin at me, to which I could only reply with a bitter smile. It wasn't that funny when you tried to joke about this sort of thing. You're surrendering yourself. Or did you find somewhere to hide? I couldn't think of other options yet, only shrugged nonchalantly.
その時になったらわかるさ。
You'll find out eventually. That only makes me even more concerned. I didn't think she would end her life, yet her strange calmness made me nervous. If there was a backup plan, then she wouldn't have been panicking the day before. Why was there such a great change of attitude overnight? Like a tune without harmony. The dissonance slowly expanded in my heart. I never believed in overnight enlightenment. Hearing someone say how they realized the truth of this world and gained a new life after joining some cult was more unbelievable than the plot of a bad sci-fi film. If a value you held true for decades could be changed with a few words, then what was the point of living? Hey, something just didn't feel right. The more I thought about it, so I decided to figure out what she meant by making her mind up. What do you want? Seeing through my attempt, she laughed.
なんだ？怖いのか？
What? Scared? Shitless. I'd rather have some time to prepare myself mentally, like saying a prayer or leaving my will.
信仰があるとは驚いたね。
Huh? You're a religious man? Not really, but might as well be before my imminent death.
そんなこと言ってたら十中八九地獄行きだろうね。
You're going to hell anyway for saying that. She changed her pose against the wall, yet her gaze hadn't left the phone while answering me. Her behavior only confused me even more, so I decided to change the topic. Where will you go after getting the
ど
money?
こでもいい。台湾も大きいんだから行くとこくらい見つかるだろう。
Anywhere. Taiwan is a big place. Still staying in Taiwan? I thought she was prepared to go abroad and hide there till it was
でな
all
ければ
over.
どこへ行く？
Where else then? She asked with one
金
eyebrow
持ちの
raised.
やつらみたいに抜け穴に詳しいわけじゃない。海外口座やら資金洗浄やら 金をたくさん騙し取っているのに責任を取らずに済む方法とか。
I'm not good at finding loopholes in managing money. Laundering with overseas accounts, those folks steal all this money yet never pay the price.
比べ物にならないだろ。せいぜい強盗誘拐、金の引き換えに命を張るくらいしか。お勉強ができないからしょうがないことだよね。
There's no way for us to compare with them. We at most can just manage some puny kidnapping and robbery to get money at the risk of our lives. All cause we're not educated. Her words were filled with self-mockery and hatred. There was even a sense of self-abuse when someone as proud as her was saying that. Considering all the developments till now, plus her words, I finally put all the puzzle pieces together. You are the scapegoat, aren't you? With that train of thought, many things started to make sense. Why did she get into this mess with her sister? Why did she know why did she know so much about me despite being a lousy kidnapper? The creditor gave her the information about the kidnapping and told her it was a chance to pay off all the debt plus earn some extra cash to start a new life. To avoid responsibility, they didn't even provide any sort of assistance. Plus, why she had to enlist her sister's help. For the true culprit, there was nothing to lose. There'd be tons of cash waiting for them if it worked out. And no trouble, anyway, if it failed. They had no choice but to gamble on this opportunity. They forced you to.
自分が決めたことだ。
I made that decision. As though knowing what I was about to say, she glared at me.
私のことを子供とでも何も知らずにただ利用されていたと思っているのか。
You think I'm a kid? Play like a fool that knows
ふ
nothing?
ざけるな。自分で決めたことに責任は取る。他人のせいにはしない。
Spare me. I will take responsibility for my own actions instead of involving others. I gotta come up with a response to her words. She could have pushed it all on other people, yet she chose to bear it all herself.
妹は何も知らない。ただ私の言うことを聞いているだけ。
But my sister didn't know anything. She just followed my instructions. Her expression darkened upon mentioning her sister, pressing her lips as though holding something in. She didn't have some exceptional determination letting her carry all this weight. She was just pushing herself. I then realized how similar we were. We hated to be seen as weak, and the idea of becoming the people we despised. We both hated this world, except she chose to resist with crime, and I chose to escape. I never saw someone this eager to be arrested. You are messed up.
歪まなければ生きていけないだろう。まともだったらとっくに母のように自殺してるよ。
That must be. Or I would have killed myself like my mom a long time ago. She snored carelessly. There was no sadness in her voice, as though she was just recalling yesterday. Arming herself like a hedgehog, she refused to give up despite the challenge. She made it this far with the dream of a better tomorrow. Even that could not be granted. What else was left for her? I couldn't help but feel sympathy. Hearing the text message notification, she glared at it reliefully.
やっぱりそうきたか。
Of course. What? Paying no mind at all, she just lowered her head, there was no usual abusive aura, and in its place was just abnormal calm. She closed her eyes and sighed, then started dialing. Who are you calling?
ほっとけ。
None of your business.
なぜ金が入ってこなかった？
Where's the money? She got right to the chase and kept going before getting a full
もう
response.
あんたたちと話す気はない。
I'm done talking. She twirled her hair in a despited manner. This was totally different from her usual tone. She wasn't in a hurry, as though she didn't even care about the ransom anymore. Something changed. The sense of unease weighed heavily on my chest. I used to be able to somehow guess her thoughts, yet I still couldn't figure out this crucial decision that she had
もう
made.
いい。時間稼ぎだってわからないとでも思ったか？
Enough. Do you think I don't know that you're stalling?
あんたらはみんなそうだ。
You are all the same.
すべては自分の手中で、他人は全員バカだと。
Thinking everything is under control and the others are all idiots. I could hear sounds from the other side of the phone, but she ignored all those and
運
continued.
よく金を少し多く稼いだだけで、すべて思い通りになると思った？誰もかも言うことを聞くと思った？
Just because you're lucky enough to earn a little more money than others, you thought everything should follow your way? Why should all listen to you?
冗談はやめて。
Give me a break. There was clear hatred in her voice. She coldly delivered her final
こ
words.
うなったら絶対後悔させてやる。
Then so be it. I'll make you regret everything. She hung up the phone and threw it at the table. She took out the last cigarette from the box and let the smoke drift through the room.
何？今度は何が言いたいんだ？
What? Got something to say? Sensing my hesitation, she asked me. I was thinking how to word this in a way that wouldn't trigger her. Seeing me not answering, she frowned and pushed me a little.
話があるなら言いなさいよ。前はあんなにペラペラと喋っていて、怖がったこともないだろ？
Shoot. Weren't you quite a talker not too long ago? Well, I learned my lesson. That's what humans are good
最
for.
初から警告していただろ？あんたがおとなしくしないのがいけなかったんだから。
I warned you from the start. But you didn't listen. So, did you give up or what? The heavy mood was disrupted by the conversation. I ignored the last bit of worry in my mind. I found the courage to
そ
talk.
うよ。金のために子供もいらない人がいるとは思わなくってね。たとえあんたを殺しても、彼は金をくれないだろう。
Yeah, who knows? Who knew anyone would prioritize money over his own kid? He probably still would have coughed up the money, even if I murdered you. There was a bitter smile on her face. I did hope for some moving miracle, but here was the reality. Without trust between the two parties, there would be no negotiation. Even if he paid the money, the kidnapper could still break the deal. There was no insurance for the family. It was the most logical and accurate course of action, yet it made my heart ache like some bug bite. So am I free to go?
あんたを逃がすと言ったか？
Who said anything about freeing you?
勘違いするな。あんたにはちっとも同情していない。私たちと比べて、あんたはもう十分幸せよ。
Don't get the wrong idea. I don't pity you. You're still way more well off than us. She leaned over while raising her eyebrow. It was so close I could smell the tobacco. What's the point of keeping me if there's no money involved? For the record, I can't cook or clean well. I'm a bad choice for a housekeeper. Who knows? She raised the corner of her mouth as though enjoying toying with me. You're really falling for me, aren't you? Maybe in 10 years, rich boy. She squatted while replying and started to tighten the rope to make sure I couldn't get out of it. Is this still necessary? The rope rubbing my wounds created a new wave of pain. I couldn't help but complain about it. I need to head out. You just wait here. Hey, when will you get back? What if I need to go to the toilet? Hold it then. I'll be back once I grab a few things. Grab what? Have fun guessing. Ignoring my protest, she left. What was she thinking? Hearing her footsteps getting further away, I couldn't figure out the current state of events. I couldn't do anything but sigh heavily. I was by myself in the room and no one would hear me no matter how loud I yelled. My lips were tied up so tightly I couldn't even stand, let alone escape. I started listening to the rain out of boredom and waiting for the passage of time in silence. I suddenly realized how pessimistic I had become. I wasn't scared of how much I used to be, nor focused on escaping. Realizing this was coming to an end, I had given up even the desire to gamble. If I were you, I might have done the same thing. I remembered our conversation from last night. It was said with full honesty after understanding her helplessness and anger. Even in the 21st century, we still live in a world not so different from the past where your upbringings were destined at birth. Despite all the claims of freedom of choice and competition, we are still born different. Look at all those rich folks having a headache over a business problem. Are they truly happier? Those who fail to blame it on the environment, while those who succeeded credit themselves. Using those vague words to numb yourself, you can choose to ignore the unfair world around us. Normal people would just gripe about it briefly. How much hatred could someone who had difficulty in having a normal life harbor? I sighed in depression. The hot breath turned into white smoke in the freezing air. Wrong. Perhaps we all knew about it too well, but we only chose to tell ourselves these lies since we couldn't change it. Just like now, it couldn't change anything. Even through, I understood their pain. I heard footsteps in the stairway and then the sound of the door opening. Here comes the emotional moment. I grew speechless when I saw her. What's that? Supermarket sale? There were 2 gigantic plastic bags of stuff in her hand. It was like she'd gone from being frugal to a big spender in an instant. She took out my bag matter-of-factly and left it on the desk after whirling it a little. It's not my money. Yeah, we got ourselves a big spender here. So you're staying quiet? Should have done that earlier. She tilted her head, apparently not used to seeing me so disobedient. What else could I do? Crack my head against the wall?
手間が省けて楽だけどね。
That would have saved me the trouble. She dumped all the food onto the desk as though she just robbed a convenience store clean. The other bag was all alcohol. All sorts of beer cans lay on the desk, more than enough for two.
ほら。
Hey. She suddenly passed me a beer.
酒に付き合え。
Drink with me. Me?
他に誰がいるの？
Who else is here? What now? In a good
いら
mood?
ないならいい。好きにしろ。
Whatever. Your call. Sure thing. I grabbed the beer before she changed her mind. Confused as I was, I didn't plan to let go of what I could get. She opened the microwavable spaghetti, which made the whole room smell like butter, a scent more enticing than anything I had ever smelled.
ほら、これあんたの分。
Here, this is yours. Is this the last supper? Still not knowing your plans, I asked half jokingly.
最後の晩餐か。
Last supper, huh? She muttered with her head tilted, then gave a nonchalant
かも
smile.
しれないよ。
Maybe. That was a bad joke right there. But I really couldn't care less. When there was a hot food right before me, I took the food but had difficulty removing the straps. Can you loosen the rope?
どうして？
Why? No need to worry about me escaping. I didn't plan to leave here before finishing my food. You need to open the door and put a red carpet there.
冗談はよせ。たかがコンビニの加熱弁当だけど。
Don't be ridiculous. It's just a microwavable bento from the convenience store.
言っておくけど、もし逃げたら本当に切り殺すよ。
Just to be clear, I will kill you if you try to run. She did loosen up the ropes after leaving the threat. I still couldn't use my hands freely, but using the fork was no problem. I eagerly opened the box and dived into the food. The hot sauce spread within my mouth and warmed up both my stomach and heart. Finally having a proper meal after several days? I was almost moved to tears. Oh god, I didn't know microwavable food could be this tasty.
そうか。
Is that so? She responded absent-mindedly. Compared to me wolfing down the food, she barely ate anything and kept drinking the alcohol. It's easy to get drunk if you don't eat something. She clearly wanted to get herself drunk like that. Worrying what might happen next, I tried to remind her about
うる
it.
さい。酔ったらあんたの思うつぼだろ。
Be quiet. Isn't that what you wanted? Isn't that what you want?
あんたの説教を聞きたいわけじゃなくて、あんたと飲みたいんだ。飲まないと山奥に捨てるぞ。
I didn't invite you to drink with me to hear your nagging. I'll throw you off of a cliff if you don't start drinking. Aye aye, ma'am. I had no choice but to raise the can after hearing her threat. She was surprisingly quite drinker, with one hand in her pocket and leaning against the wall like a silent statue. It wasn't really that enjoyable to drink beer in this cold weather. Luckily, my body started to warm up and I could focus better. I caught myself conscious by eating the food and drinking only low alcohol beer. Hey.
なんだ？
What? What do you mean when you said it's too late yesterday?
本当に口が減らないやつだね。
You're quite the talker. She turned her head away and sighed impatiently, with her index fingers sliding on the edge of the beer can. It's more strange to stay quiet when drinking together like it's some funeral.
そう。
Whatever. Showing no interest in the subject, she had another large gulp. How about you come up with a subject, anything you want? I still couldn't figure out her decision. The sudden change of attitude in the vague situation made me uncomfortable. It made me more sense to let her say whatever she wanted than to ask her about it.
あんたと話したことあるよね。私の夢。
I told you about my dream before, right? After saying silent for a while, she quietly spoke about starting a new life somewhere no one knows you. She threw the can to the ground once it was empty, making a clear clanking sound.
あんたのそれっぽっちの金じゃ何も変えられない。
Your money won't change anything. She said quietly. There was no anger in her voice amidst the rain, only powerless acceptance.
親父が残した借金は数十万どころじゃない。でないと私がここまで苦労するわけがないだろう。
The debt my father left was more than 100,000. Why would I need to work this hard if that was the
たとえ
case?
あんたの金を全部持っていったとしても、せいぜいここ数年の利子を払うだけで何にもならない。
Your money could only pay for the cumulative interest at best. It's
働き
pointless.
続けるしかないんだよ。借金を全部返済することはできないんだと知ってもね。
I still have to keep working. And it will never be enough.
そんな目で見ないでくれ。あんたの同情なんかいらない。
Don't look at me like that. I don't need your pity. Her face was red and I could see the effect of the alcohol in her eyes. The light in them seemed to reflect all my thoughts. How much do you owe? She lit up a cigarette and tried to calculate. She gradually breathed out the smoke and then shook her head.
もう覚えていない。どうせ一生かけても払えない額なんだ。
I can't remember. But it's an amount I couldn't pay off, even if I worked day and night my entire life. She picked up the can and waved it left and right. She seemed to be figuring out what words to use while listening to the sound inside the can. The weak light shined on her face. She looked extra miserable from the days of stress and fatigue. All these thoughts, fear, hatred, and pity all mixed into my mind. What does it have to do with me? If the world isn't fair, they should be punished for causing this mess. Even once I understood that this whole thing wasn't just her problem. I still had these thoughts every once in a while. Locking them up wouldn't solve the problem. Without changes to social structure, there would always be new criminals. Yet so what? We all just focused on the problems before us and wished these people would disappear. Rather than worrying about the faraway future, we care more about the present, whether we reside. The alcohol spread within my mouth. It was too bitter to swallow.
私の一番怖いことはわかる？
You know what I'm scared of most? I waited for her to complete her sentence.
ここから10年、数十年、死ぬまでこういう生活が続いていくのが一番怖いんだ。
I'm afraid of seeing myself having the exact same life for the next few years or decades. Or till death.
毎日働いても借金が返済できない。一生他人の代わりに金を稼ぎ続けて。
It would be like...
そんなの奴隷と何が違うんだ？
It would be like making all this money for others like a slave.
それより賭けに出る方が、もし死んだとしてもよっぽどマシだ。
I'd rather just gamble it all than this. Otherwise, I'd rather just die. I couldn't retort. Where's their life? There's hope. I felt like some pointless mockery. She reached for a bottle of wine. I could feel the strong alcohol scent from her and her warm breath. Want to be drunk? Want to forget everything? Want to let it all go? I could tell all these without even asking.
親父が逃げた後、誰かが毎日借金の取り立てに来て、瓶を投げられたり、ペンキをかけられたり、考えられることは全部やられた。
They kept coming to our place after Dad left. Smashing wine bottles, leaving paint on the wall, anything you could imagine.
私まで先に付き合わせて。まだ12歳の頃だぞ。変わった趣味を持つ金持ちって多いんだよね。
They even forced me to help out at a nightclub when I was around 12. Those rich people really had some fucked up fetishes.
母は毎日そういう人たちに向き合わされていた上、子供2人の面倒を見なければならない。ストレスでたまらずにすぐ押しつぶされた。
It didn't take long before my mother broke down. After facing these people daily while taking care of kids, she covered the tragedy casually as though it was someone else's
母が
experience.
自殺する前に何を言ったと思う？親父を恨まないでってさ。
Do you know what she told us before committing suicide? She told us not to hate our father.
私たちは恵まれていないだけって。
She said we're just unlucky. She started to laugh mockingly, then continued to mumble in a trance. It wasn't that far off from a movie plot. There were tragedies around us, but they never came to our attention until we were affected.
どうしてこんなことになるのか。どこに問題があったか。どうして私はこういう目に遭うのかって。長い間考えていた。
I once thought for a long time about what went wrong. Why me?
やがて人は平等じゃないと思い知った。
Shit.
もし本当に神様なんてクソったれがいい。やがて人は平等じゃないと思い知った。私たちは価値がない方に生まれただけだと。
Then I realized when we were just born unequal, our lives are just worthless.
もし本当に神様なんてクソったれがいたら、そいつは絶対死んだ方が人のためになる。
If there is a God, then fuck him.
金持ちどもが何をもって私をバカにできるんだ。何をもって頭を使うべきだと言うんだ。何をもって自分が成功しているような口を聞くんだ。
How dare those rich people look down on me. But what right can they tell us to use our brain? As though they're the smart and successful ones. She got more and more agitated, trying to let go of all the injustice in her heart.
何様のつもりだ。所詮運が良かっただけじゃない。私と同じようにクソみたいな生活をしたら何もできやしない。
What's so special about them outside of being lucky? What could they do if they lived the same life as me? The wine bottle smashed into countless pieces on the floor. Debt, the kidnapping, separation from her sibling, all these things finally got to the girl. Her suppressed emotions all came out like a collapsed den. She panted heavily and couldn't calm herself down, her upheaving chest. All I could do was look at her quietly without saying a word. She took a step back, then collapsed onto the floor against the wall like a wrecking ball. I want to start over. Her hands hugging her legs were shaking, and there was sobbing in her voice. It was the first time I saw her this frail, like a carefully crafted
全
grasswork.
てを忘れたい。全部やり直したい。誰も私のことを知らない場所へ行きたい。
I want to forget all this. I want to restart. I want to go somewhere no one knows me.
そんなに難しいことなのか。
Is that so much to ask?
どうして他人が当たり前のように持つものが
Why
私は
can't
一生をかけても手に入らないんだ。
Why can't I have something others can enjoy effortlessly?
悔しい。どうしてよりによって私が、どうして。
Well, why? Why me? Why? She mumbled as though in a dream. Her voice gradually died down until it was not audible. She didn't ask for some outrageous lineage or a rich family. All she ever wanted was a normal environment, but she couldn't get it. The world isn't fair. Some were born in third world countries and never had the chance to receive an education. Some were born handicapped and couldn't operate like others. No one can change that or deny that fact. There is no difference. One could feel bad for the younger sister who knew nothing, but even she had no choice in the matter. Their father abandoned their mother. Their father abandoned them. Their mother committed suicide. The debt separated them from education, and they had nowhere to ask for help. I shouldn't expect her to have the courage to challenge her sister, let alone take care of all this after going through a constantly threatened childhood. Age doesn't determine if one should take responsibility, but if one possesses the respective power and knowledge. We could scold her for making that mistake, but if she never had a choice in the matter. Breathing out some white smoke, I sighed lightly. Many thoughts came to my mind, and they mixed in words. Just surrender. Her body shook. She raised her head vacantly. Even if you paid off the debt, your dream would never come true. We were born with too many stigmas: gender, race, looks, family. They won't disappear just because you move somewhere else. Education, experience, relationships, work, and even in death, people will judge you through those glances, no matter what. I don't know how much money you owe them, nor what they told you, but there must be a way. All you can do is accept who you are and move on. They should apply for bankruptcy. If they are the debtors, and ask for protection from the police. If they are threatened with violence, there must be a way. If someone who knows the law and didn't care about compensation could help them.
どうして私にそんなことを。
Why are you telling me this? Her eyes were reddened and she asked me like a lost child. I stumbled. Apparently I just said all these things without thinking. Why did I tell her all this? 'Cause you and we aren't that different. I'm just luckier than you. We never thought of ourselves as the bad guys from from a children's story. We all wanted a happy life, like the prince and princess of a story. She's not a heartless criminal that takes pleasure from committing crimes. Anyone might make the same decision if that situation, especially when you don't have the choice.
そうか。
Is that so? She didn't answer my question, but something was decided.
やっぱりあんたが変わったやつだ。
You are so weird. She chuckled lightly. The traces of tears didn't dry up, but there was warmth in that expression. Seeing that smile, I became more certain of it. Regardless of our upbringings, race, and gender, we all have things we fear, worry about, and pursue. We aren't That's gotta be it, right? Even without the packaging, I can still tell the medicine on the table are sleeping pills. There were quite a few in the house. My mother needed them to fall asleep every night. I actually almost forgot about that, but why does she have them? Why did you buy so many sleeping pills?
何あんたに飲ませるのかって心配してんの
What, think I'll poison you? Her response rendered me speechless. She couldn't help but start
安
giggling.
心しろ。あんたを殺す方法はいくらでもあるから。そんな効率が悪い方法は選ばないよ。
Don't worry, there are way more effective ways to kill you than these. There was a smile on her face, but she mysteriously averted her gaze. The ink green curtain is covered in thick dust, most likely having gone unwashed for a long time. I can't even tell what the original color was. It is for concealing light in the room at night. It makes a creaking sound every time someone pulls it. However, if there is a need to conceal the light, does it mean there is someone else nearby? This is a simple wooden chair, unpolished, just like the desk. It is quite rough, as though it was actually made by hand. I'm not sure how old this chair is, but I can almost smell its level of decay. I cannot save, meaning I'm gonna have to skip forward once the choices come up. With the passage of time, the two of us fell silent. The wine glasses were empty and the topics of conversation were exhausted. All I was left was the epilogue.
あんたの言った通り、終わりにしよう。
You're right. It's time to end this. The girl put down the can and walked towards me with the kitchen knife. She didn't even seem to mind the glass shards on the floor. The edge of the knife pointing at my flesh with danger. Pointing at me, flashed with danger. A simple push, and that would be the end of my life. She stopped suddenly. Her hands weren't trembling, nor did she seem confused. She just observed me calmly. The rain echoed in the room, along with the shallow breathing of the two of us.
怖くないのか
Aren't you scared? Are you going to kill me? I stared right back into her gaze. In the darkness, her eyes shined like stars. In those eyes, I saw myself exhausted but fearless.
本当に怖くないんだね。
You really aren't scared. Her expression relaxed and she lowered the hand that held the knife. There was a note of frustration in her voice. I don't think you'd really do it.
そうか。誘拐犯もろくにやり遂げられないなんて。そうか。
Is that so?
誘拐犯もろくにやり遂げられないなんて。ますますできていない人間だな。
I couldn't even be a good kidnapper. What a shame. She cut through the ropes around my legs. After finally receiving freedom after all these days, I found the sensation extremely unfamiliar. I eagerly tried to move my legs. There were bruises where the rope used to be, as though they weren't part of my body. I stood up while supporting myself against the wall. Finally looking at her from eye level, I realized she wasn't actually that tall. She still pointed the knife at me. The dim lamp light lit her exhausted yet determined face.
もし
If
あんたがもし本当に人々がそう違わないと思えるなら彼らに手を差し伸べなさい。
If you really feel there is no difference, then please help
あ
them.
んたの言った通り運が悪かっただけの人たちに
As you said, they are just unlucky. They. Her choice of words got my attention. Why not us?
あともう一つ
And one more thing. She hesitated briefly before opening her
あん
mouth.
たの母親の浮気相手はクエンさんだ。あんたの資料を教えてくれたのもあの人。
Mr. Ken is the one who had your... Mr. Ken is the one who your mother had an affair with. He's the one who told me your information. Wait, are you
彼
saying...
女を酔うたびに家のことをクエンさんに泣きつきながら話しているらしい。多分こんなことに利用されるとは思わなかっただろう。
Apparently she cried about her family every time she got drunk. Probably never thought of this outcome at all. The sudden inflow of information rendered me speechless. She kicked my
言
backpack
い
to
た
my
かった
feet.
のはそれだけ。荷物を持ったらここから出ろ。道に沿って10分ぐらい歩くと住宅が見えてくるはずだ。
That's all. Take your stuff and get out. Follow the road and you'll find your house in 10 minutes. What about you?
あんたの知ったことじゃないだろう。まだやることがあるんだ。
None of your business. I have something else to do. Like killing yourself?
どうして？
How did you... Simple words, yet effective. She stared at me dumbfounded, not knowing how I saw through her secret plan. So that's what her decision was. She didn't get the money, yet chose to let me go. She also didn't try to run. Knowing her past, I could only guess what the medicine on the desk was for.
だからって何？まさかこの期に及んで私を引き止める気じゃないんでしょ？
And so what? Are you trying to talk me out of it? Recovered from the shock, she started to laugh hysterically while twirling her hair.
もううんざりだ。最初からやり直すにはこうするしかない。
I'm done with this. I can only restart everything by doing this. Poverty was like a bottomless pit that they could never get out of. I'm afraid of seeing myself having the exact same life for the next few years or next decades or until death. She might have made this decision after seeing that future.
同情なんていらない。
Save it.
本当に助かりたいなら黙ってさっさとここを出ていけ。
If you want to help me, then shut up and get the hell out of here as soon as possible. I wanted to save her, but didn't know what to do. In this capitalist society where everything was decided by natural probability, I learned how powerless I was. The world isn't fair. I murmured the same words. Now finally, with an answer to that statement. We can't make everyone equal. There would always be differences in our intelligence and capability as genes dictate. Therefore, all the more reason for us to find a way to fix it. The world might be a machine, but we are more than just its screws. We can change how it operates. If the machine is broken, we should try to fit...
もういい。
Enough.
せめて自分の死に方を決めさせてくれないか。
At least let me pick how to go. Her smile was tired but determined. She tried to retort. I tried to retort, but the words stuck in my throat. If someone had nothing left but the choice of death, what right did we have to stop her?
もしさっきの話が本気だったら
If you mean what you
どう
said,
にかして証明してみせてくれ。
then prove it. I will prove it to you. That's all this can be changed. So, would you believe in me? She stared at me silently with no answer. Too much disappointment had forced her to grow beyond a child believing blindly in fairy tales. My decision wouldn't help her at all. The debt was still there, and so was the legal persecution. She still had to face them all. and all I could offer was a promise.
これ
Here. She gave me a piece of paper before I
リリ
left.
ンのことをお願い
Please take care of the link for me. She told me quietly. Hey, don't dump your troubles
う
onto
るさい
me.
早く行きな
Shut up. Bye. Realizing staying here wouldn't change anything, I picked up my backpack. The weight of it felt a little surreal. Will we ever meet again? I asked her before I left. She paused and started
も
chuckling.
う会わない
Nope. With a deep breath, I pushed open the door and walked into the rain without looking back. The storm instantly made my clothes soaking wet. My body began to tremble from the cold, making it hard to even stand up straight. The rain blurred my vision. I couldn't tell where I was even heading, so I moved forward one slow step at a time. Damn it! In my haze, I tripped on an exposed tree root. As I fell, I brushed up alongside one of the branches, which cut right through my skin. I couldn't help but scream out in pain. With my strength fading, I collapsed to the floor and tried to stabilize my breathing. I turned over and looked up into the dark sky. The cold truth of the raindrops on my face brought me back to state of clarity. This the only possible outcome?